So we've definitely have a DHS shutdown. The Democrats, Department of Homeland Security shutdown. And that's just not the only stuff going on. It's a busy morning already. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let the radio show begin. Bring on the shutdown. I mean, it's happening whether we want it or not. The Democrat-led shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security is
so when you run for
whether we want it or not. And we must ask ourselves what it is they're after. I mean, don't get me wrong. We could always talk about what's going on at the Munich Security Conference.
So when you run for president, are you going to impose a wealth tax or a billionaire's tax?
I don't think that I don't think that anyone, and that we don't have to wait for any one president to impose a wealth tax. I think that it needs to be done expeditiously. That's
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. These people are not shy, ladies and gentlemen. Republicans don't know how to fight. Bunch of pansy candy, you know what it's. But the Democrats will be like, oh yeah, we're going to steal your money and I'll do it with a smile. Welcome to where we are. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Did you think for a moment you had won? Maybe that's the conversation here. Maybe that's the story. Did you think because you elected Donald Trump, you won? Do you know how MAGAville stupid you have to be to believe that? Now, before we go any further, I don't think you were wrong to vote for Trump. I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump 3 times. You were wrong if you thought, well, that's that. Everything's great now. The level of ignorance one would have to be to believe that. But if you follow all of these ridiculous, nonsense, super silly influencers, they'll have you believe in that. Like somehow it's all Trump, it's just Trump, and Trump's great, and that's it, and all matters. And you have to be Steve Bannon ridiculous. Now, maybe even Steve understands you've got a real cabal of people up against you. You got to win in all the areas, which brings me back, of course, to the Department of Homeland Security and the defunding that's going to take place by the Democrats because they will not vote for an extension. They will not vote on a budget. And you're going to see Homeland Security not funded. The Democrats are doing that. And Republicans are like, how's my tie look? Is my tie? Do I look good? I got this suit at J.C. Penney. That's, I got it. It was extra snug so I could show everybody how much I've been working out. Yes. Yes. Call me president. Ooh, did I say that out loud? Oh, I don't want my inner thoughts getting out that I just want to run for president. So I'm not going to do anything too wild to make sure I will never be president, even though I dream about it. Like, that's them. That's them. They are still trying to figure out how to be nice, while Democrats want to stop the ability for us to stop fentanyl from coming into the country because the DHS funding might affect the Coast Guard, TSA, all sorts of things. The only thing it doesn't affect is ICE because ICE is funded with $75 billion through the One Big Beautiful Bill. And while Republicans are unwilling to fight, Democrats are out there at the Munich Security Conference saying,
I don't think that anyone, and that we don't have to wait for any one president to impose a wealth tax. I think that it needs to be done expeditiously.
She's openly and with a smile saying, I am going to steal your money. You think Mom Donnie is something? He ain't a thing, kid. I'm the OG commie, and I'm going to show you how it goes. She ushered in a whole new world. She did what Bernie Sanders could not. Bernie Sanders could talk to young people. She got young people to run. It's what happened. It's what happened. And we, on the political right, aren't fighting the way we need to fight. And I don't know about you. I cannot speak for you. I am exhausted by it. Nope. Not exhausted, because I wake up every day ready to go. Disgusted by it. Maybe that's the better term. The absolute unwillingness to deal with these people as they need to be dealt with. I do not fault Representative Ocasio-Cortez for being a bartender. I don't fault her for running for office. I actually think that there's something spectacular about that. Something amazing about that. Something very, very American dream about that. I love that story. Do you know how much I love the story of Ilhan Omar? Somalian refugee gets to grow up in America, grow in America, learn in America, and then runs for Congress. That's incredible. That is an only in America story. Both of them only in America stories. And then they both end up hating the country and being filthy commies who destroy everything they touch. You know the movie, was it A Bronx Tale? You know Mush from A Bronx Tale? Is it Bronx Tale? Yeah, it's Bronx Tales, Mush. Mush was a commie because everything you touch turns to crap. You're on a hot streak, everything's going great, in walks Mush, boom. That's what their policies do. Now they continue to do well, but neither here nor there. These should be great, great, great stories. Great stories. But they're terrible people. Terrible people who have absolutely no compunction. I think that's the right word. They'll say anything. They're very open about what it is they're doing. Ilhan Omar and Rashida, and well, I should say Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have never contributed anything to society. They have never built anything. They have never created any wealth. With their hands or with their mind, they have never created an opportunity. They have never created a job. They have never, through their own work and their own sweat and their own labor, through their own tears and their own sacrifice, they have never made someone's life better by giving them the opportunity to make their own life better. Never once has Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez done this. Never once. And yet she smiles at you and says, we should take the money of other people who have. Well, Tony, you don't know if they have. Maybe they inherited it. Someone did, and it belongs to them. And here comes Ocasio-Cortez, who has never created anything in her life, saying we should take it. Who the hell is she to take anything? That's the argument. You don't build anything. You don't create anything. What have you built? What is your success? A personal success that you ran for office and amazingly won a primary and then it was game over because you're a very good-looking woman and people wanted to be connected to it. And, of course, it didn't matter that you were completely ignorant on the facts, whether it be about Israel or anything else. Remember those early days? Those early days with you on PBS? You said the right little kind of commie things and young people with minds of mush followed, which is, of course, our fault for raising a generation with minds full of mush. You sit there and you attack Donald Trump 24/7, 365. Trump created. Oh, yeah. Oh, Tony, he went bankrupt. Look at the buildings. Look at the tax base. What has Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez ever done for New York? Nothing. Trump created tax bases. Trump created jobs. New Yorkers still benefit from that egomaniac. He could have invested his money, not built, and he would have more billions than he has today. But he wanted to build. He wanted to build, he wanted to create, he wanted to put it up there, he wanted to see his name in gold. What can I say? He's an egomaniac and a narcissist. But it worked out better for every New Yorker, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she didn't give New York gats. Not a damn thing. Zero. And then you have this reporter gushing over her. You're going to run for president one day, right? Right? And she thinks we need a wealth tax right now. You vote for these people, you're out of your damn head. Someone who never created anything feels that they have the right to take from you because she knows what's moral and just. How could she know what's moral and just? She hangs out with Jeremy Corbyn. She is a bad person with bad policies. The Green New Deal, everybody understood that the Green New Deal was wealth redistribution. Every single person who had a brain, gray matter, coalescing the vapors, understood exactly what this was. We're going to engage in what? Wealth redistribution. What do you think a wealth tax is? It is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez believing she knows what is good and what is right and what is just, and she will force it upon you and take from you and provide for those who need. Said differently, from each according to their measure, to each according to their need. It's not a wealth tax, it's Marxism. And Marx couldn't create a society either. Marx couldn't even handle a job, that wimp, that pansy-ass loser. He didn't grow a long beard because he thought it looked cool. He didn't have the money to get a haircut. Wouldn't take a job, couldn't get a job, didn't care if his family was destitute, didn't matter to him. Because like all communists, selfish as a mother. The difference is AOC has figured out how to make it come with designer dresses and clothing. What? You didn't see her at the Met Gala event? I saw him I saw her at the Met Gala event. Republicans can't even fight against Democrats who are going to put the country in danger by shutting down the Department of Homeland Security, and Democrats feel absolutely at ease with talking about some of the most violent, horrifying policies out there. While you, Republicans, allow yourself to get punched in the face repeatedly by Chuck Schumer. You're losing a fight to Chuck Schumer. Here's Gavin Newsom at the Munich Security Conference saying, you know what? The Chinese really understand how to do things.
Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers are actually producing high-quality vehicles at lower price than U.S. competitors, right? Given California's 2035 zero-emission vehicle mandate, do you believe the state can realistically meet those targets without access to Chinese EVs?
Well, if there's any state that can, it's California. But look, my state of mind, let's clarify. 70% of global EVs are coming from China. And it's statecraft for them. It's about supply chains. It's about influence. It's about dominance. These guys aren't screwing around. I say this with admiration. They're flooding the zone in Europe. They're flooding the zone in South America. I mean, what Donald Trump just did yesterday with the endangerment finding by basically eliminating any federal regulations, not just on power plants, methane, but also tailpipe emission, I think was writing a death sentence to legacy American automobile manufacturers. Mm-hmm.
Look at them. We have proven in the United States of America that electric vehicles, for the sake of electric vehicles, I should say it differently, when forced on the American people through insane regulation, America says no, they don't want them. People still may buy a Tesla, they still may buy a Rivian, they still may buy the Ford Lightning, the electric SUV from Ford, but they lost billions. And here he is, with his pomade and his smugness, saying China's doing it right and we're wrong for noticing what the market has to say. What we should engage in here, says Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is more force. Not markets, force. Government force. Government should be imbued with more power, should be able to make more decrees, because that's all it was regarding the endangerment finding, which we talked about yesterday. You heard Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, and President Trump, the endangerment finding, which said that carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, and sulfur hexafluoride, these were a threat to public health and welfare, and therefore they should be more regulated. And then you got ridiculous CAFE standards for automobiles and all sorts of things, and things started getting more expensive, and you had less development and growth and opportunities. I didn't say these things were good or great. I am saying that the EPA went far too far. And what Gavin Newsom is saying is go further, so we can have our lunch eaten by the Chinese because they've got it right. Yeah, it's easy for them to build Chinese vehicles with slave labor, with stolen technology. Again, another guy who creates nothing. And we, the Republicans, the conservatives, the moderates, the independents, these people speak with impunity, and we can't even keep Homeland Security going? This is a real issue. This lack of fight is going to get us destroyed. There is a way to fix it, though. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz Today. So we tested a couple different things about the Twitter X connection, and still no. Still absolutely no. Not working. So we're going to try some other things. I have seen the story of Katie Barr. I think it's Katie, not Kate. But she's this progressive, I think in the Carolinas. And she's like, I think North Carolina. She's like, listen, I'm running as a Republican. Because running as a Republican is the only way that you can get in. The only way you can possibly win. So I'm running as a Republican so I can win, but I am a progressive Democrat. Now that happens. That's like some Operation Chaos kind of stuff. That's a little bit different than, maybe what we should be stunned by is how open they are with being democratic socialists. They're communists. They are what they are. And we have to be taking a look at what we're allowing in terms of sending our kids to college and the kind of colleges we go to. We send them to. It's so much the fault of these parents. Well, my kid really wants to go there, and I wasn't going to tell them no. Yeah, you can tell them no. It's your money. Love your kid enough to tell them no. That's important. So, coming back to the radio show right now. Valentine's Day. Honestly, not everything has to be about the politics. Let me help people fall in love. Let me help people find a way to get together, enjoy each other, and then, I don't know, make a baby. I don't know why that was the music chosen. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I'm actually heading, one of my sponsors, PA Jewelers, a fantastic jewelry store that I do a bunch of work with. I'm heading down there after the show, and between 4 and 6 p.m. If you're in the Indianapolis area, they're in a place called Brownsburg, and I'm heading down there, and and for the first 5 people who can find me, and there's some rules to it. You got to be able to give me a certain code. I will take $100 off your purchase for any purchase of $200 or more. Yeah, just doing that. Helping people get good Valentine's Day gifts, right? And by the way, gifts are not love. It doesn't have to be some outrageous gift, but you might want to do something nice. It might be the right time to do something nice. Just want to help. It turns out I love love. I didn't know this about myself. I wasn't sure that this was true, but it turns out as Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I, Tony Katz, love love. I think it is fantastic. I do, however, find it that when there are people out there, and ladies, I just want to say for the record, I am speaking to you. Well, I have to get this, and you have to give me that. We have to do this, and we have to go out this, and you have to spend this. That is not the kind of woman you want to be around. That is no. Oh no. You should want to be around the kind of woman that isn't expecting, so you want to provide. You want to give. And it is gifts are not love because of right now you can't afford it or the money isn't there. That can't be it. That cannot be the focus. It just can't be. And then for the people who want to be left alone on Valentine's Day, sure. I'm not here. I'm not here to bother you. The people who then say that if you talk about Valentine's Day, it's an attack on single people. No, it's not. No, just stop being so angry that you want to ruin it for everybody. That's all. It's Tony Katz today. Oh, there are people like that. Valentine's Day is oppressive because some people don't have a Valentine, and just reminding them, and maybe you don't have a Valentine because you don't want one. Maybe you don't have a Valentine because you're terrible. Maybe you should do something about that. Maybe you should change who you are. What? You don't think you should have to change? People don't change. People should change often. What if you're terrible? Well, they just have to accept me for who I am. Well, what if who you are is just a great big giant jerk face? What if who you are is wholly unlikable? They have to accept me for who I am. What if you don't accept you for who you are? Right? The whole idea, no one has to accept you. No one, no one, no one. The only person who has to accept you is you. No one else has to buy into your garbage. What's that? Amen. I'm getting an amen from producer Landon right there. Let me see what else I've got. Oh, I've got Joe Scarborough being just so incredibly dumb. Just so incredibly dumb. There we go. All right. Waiting on coming back to the show. Let me see what else we've got. What else is going on? People are so angry. They can't accept the fact that there are a lot of people out there who like what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done. They can't accept it. They're like, yeah, but measles are up. What? Measles are up? How many people have we allowed into the country illegally and we don't know what they brought with them? Measles are up. Okay. If that's the way you want to go about this, that's the way we can go about this. But it comes from people who are always, they just flat out refuse to be normal, to be decent. They can't stop themselves. They cannot help themselves. It has to be all attack all the time, 24/7, 365, no recognition. If you want to tell me there's an increase in measles, I'll say to you, okay. Have people stopped giving measles vaccines? No, that's not it. We are still discussing measles vaccines. I would favor measles vaccine. I'm on the CDC site. 2 doses of the MMR are recommended by doctors as the best way to protect against measles, mumps, and rubella. Children may get 2 doses of the MMRV vaccine instead. It's right there on the website. January 17th, 2025. Weirdos. President Trump, I think he was getting ready for Marine One. And he walks out of the White House, and would you believe it? There was the press. I mean, honestly, what are the odds? Tony Katz. This show is so dumb. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you, the president, walking up to the press. I haven't heard this yet. This is actually all happened. I think it may still be going on, but I was able to get to the beginning. Let's see what they're chatting about.
Financial numbers, very low inflation. We brought costs way down, and the numbers were surprising, except to me, they weren't surprising. So the inflation numbers just announced, as you know, are way down, and we have it back in track. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have very modest inflation, which is what you want to have.
So that's the president talking about inflation. So consumer price index, and if you missed it, I've got Dr. Matt Will joining us a little bit later to break this down. 0.2% consumer price index, so inflation. And if you talk about the core, it's 0.3. So core excludes food and energy, those being considered more volatile prices. So if you do it the way of Dr. Will, you take 0.2, you multiply it by 12 months in a year, that's 2.4%. The target rate is 2%. So it's just a little bit over that. I think what people are going to say is 2%, hitting the target that the Fed set up. My gosh, look what's happened. Inflation's is totally under control. I would argue not totally under control. Not at all. Because if you take a look at the core at 0.3, use the Matt-Will methodology, that's 3.6%. That's no good. That's a problem. What I would argue is that it is clear that here in February, Trump is getting some economic momentum that is going to help tell a story for the midterms. That's real. Being able to tell a story and show a story, as we have been discussing for months, even when we were yelled about it, even when Steve Bannon came at me because of it, we were right. And Scott Bessent is now listening to me. The president is. Everyone is listening to what we're saying. That you have to be able to tell the story, and then you have to show the results. Showed it on gas prices, good. Showed it on egg prices, good. You got to be able to show it on beef, and that's why President Trump made the deal regarding Argentinian beef, although I haven't seen the price really drop yet. Now you're going to be able to make it about inflation. And remember, I would still tell you, it's still there. But what it is not advancing. And that could be seen as a win. So, of course, the president leads with that.
Are you in why hasn't the FBI taken over the Nancy Guthrie case as the lead investigator? Do you have any updates on how it's...
This is about why hasn't the FBI taken over in the Nancy Guthrie case? Of course, the mother of Savannah Guthrie. I'm with you. Everything seems weird and like no one knows what they're doing. I just can't tell you yet whether or not that's purposeful. They don't let certain pieces of information loose, but to the outsider, this looks like a giant cluster.
Well, they took it over originally. It was a local case originally, and they didn't want to let go of it, which is fine. It's up to them. It's really up to the community. But ultimately, when the FBI got involved, I think, progress has been made.
Progress has been made. If you tell me progress has been made, I'll believe you. Takes another question.
Are you anticipating cutting a deal with Democrats to end the potential shutdown for
President Trump, you always have to protect our law enforcement. They've done a great job. Remember, they've taken out hundreds of thousands of criminals out of our country. And we have the best crime numbers we've ever had, and everywhere. Murder numbers, crime numbers of any kind. We have the best numbers. We've taken out hundreds of thousands of criminals out of our country. We have to protect our law enforcement. What about it? Don't worry about it.
Do you still have a veto on million money to come to
I can't hear. That's fun.
Prime Minister, we're going to see.
I'm going to have to wait for him to come a little bit closer so I can hear the questions. The questions about the shutdown. Well, I want to see what he's going to say about the fight.
that you decided to send? Talk about why you made that choice.
Well, in case we don't make a deal, we'll need it. If we don't have a deal, we'll need it. If we have a deal, we get the president. It'll be leaving very soon. We have one out there.
I'm going to leave it be just for a little bit, see if he gets a little closer to the microphones. There is a question I'd like to see him give an answer to, which is the story about this French judge. So there was this ice dancing competition. And in the ice dancing competition, the French team won the gold medal. Now, it has become a real question because a French judge in the scoring gave the French team a massive score and gave the Americans, who were outrageously good and to many people should have won the gold, a very low score. Now, the American judge gave the Americans a higher score than the French team, but the French judge gave the Americans a far lower score than the American judge gave the Americans a higher score, and possibly created an imbalance and did not engage in a way that was, well, up to the standards. One of those skaters, Madison Chock, Chock, said it would definitely be helpful if it's more understandable for the viewers just to see more transparent judging and understand what's really going on. I think it's also important for the skaters that the judges be vetted and reviewed to make sure that they're also putting out their best performance, because there's a lot on the line for skaters when they're out there giving it their all, and we deserve to have the judges also giving us their all and for it to be a fair and even playing field. And she finished up by saying, I think what we will take away is how we felt right after our skates, how proud we were of what we accomplished, and how we handled ourselves throughout the whole week. Putting out 4 great performances at the Olympic Games is no small feat, and we've got a lot to be proud of. My translation, oh yeah, they know that they got screwed. They know it. They 10,000% know it. I think it's possible they did. When you take a look at some of the scoring on how it went down, it seems too improbable. Way too improbable. What to take from it? I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think that you're going to be able to prove anything. But how is it possible you have judges from countries involved in, well, I guess, how do you avoid that? You've got teams from all over the place. You've got these judges, and they come from different places. You got to hope that they're, decent. Sometimes you don't get decent. Sometimes you get the French. Let's go back to this presser and see what if we can actually hear President Trump this time around.
Well, I will, but you have to remember, if you look at Homeland Security, if you look at what they've done, if you look at what ICE has done at Border Patrol, we have the safest border in the history of our country. Nobody comes in other than if they come in legally. If you remember, just a little while ago, a year and a half ago, for a 4-year period, they allowed 25 million people in our country. Many of these people are murderers and drug dealers, horrible things. We've gotten a lot of them out. We now have the best record in the history of our country on crime. It was just announced our crime numbers are the best in 125 years. So I am here to protect law enforcement and our great police and ICE and Border Patrol and everybody. I'm here to protect them because they're protecting us. And the job they've done is incredible.
Do you believe Prime Minister Netanyahu will receive a pardon?
I do think so, yeah.
Interesting random question. Do you think Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will receive a pardon? That would be from the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, and President Trump's like, yeah, I do. I think he's going to receive a pardon. The internal politics of Israel, his own issues, corruption conversations, etc. There's a lot to dig into with Netanyahu and his own issues regarding his own political future, which I thought would be over once Hamas was destroyed, and yet somehow he's holding on, which is quite unbelievable. So back to President Trump as he's there in front of Marine One, the chopper presser, as he often does them.
Yeah, I do. Are you we have safe borders, we have low crime numbers. Yeah.
Do you think anyone should be held accountable?
Not gonna be able to hear it. It always stinks. Because you want to be able to hear it. It's amazing to me that all the technology in the world, we haven't figured out how to do this yet. We can't have him mic'd up before he shows up. I can mic up the quarterback at any game anywhere. I can't mic up the president. Maybe I don't want the president mic'd up. Maybe that's a very bad idea for national security. Maybe I've just talked myself out of it. We'll see if we can isolate some more of this audio from President Trump. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Well, there's a comment that's just too ridiculous for words. Gone. Yes, I don't know. Beth, I think, said it. Thank you for stopping with the troll experiment. You're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to see how it went. Wanted to see how it would go. No. Absolutely not. It did not work well. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see what President Trump has here. Let's see if we can hear anything else.
You mean the way it happened? Yeah. People learn. People learn.
Greenland doesn't want Europe controlling them. What's your message to them?
Well, I think Greenland's going to want us, but we get along very well with Europe. We'll see how it all works out. We're negotiating right now for Greenland.
Do you think the cartels are at all involved in Nancy Guthrie's case or another nation state potentially?
You can't say that yet, but it's somebody either knew what they were doing very well or they were rank amateurs. Either way, it's not a good situation.
Do you think
They'll have great relationship with them. If it wasn't for me, they'd be paying 2% and not paying. Instead, they're paying 5% and they're paying. We have a very good relationship with NATO.
How confident are you that our negotiations with Iran will be successful?
I think they'll be successful, and if they're not, it's going to be a bad day for Iran. Very bad. We're talking, but we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in history. We have to protect law enforcement, our police, our Border Patrol, ICE, and others in law enforcement. And I'm very much, I know what they want. I know what they can live with. The Democrats have gone crazy. The radical left, lunatics. That's why their cities are so unsafe. The blue cities are the cities that are unsafe. So we have to protect our law enforcement. Well, we have a very good relationship with the president as well. As you know, we're working together very closely. We have our big oil companies going in. They're going to be taking out the oil and selling the oil for a lot of money, and Venezuela is going to get a big part of that money. And the relationship we have right now with Venezuela is, I would say, a 10.
Leaving it on just because we're in the break.
Well, right now we have some guys we're dealing with them. And really, right now, they've done a great job. Yeltsin's did a very, very good job, and the relationship is good. The oil is coming out, and a lot of money is being paid for oil by other nations, and we're taking care of it. We're refining it, and we're the only one that has the capability to refine it. Right now, the relationship with Venezuela is as good as it can
I gave it everything I could. Can't be a part of that anymore. That's it. I was not going to get into anything further about RFK, but I think I shall. I think I'm going to in this regard. I can dig in more later. I can do you know what? I'll hit CNN right now, and I'll do the RFK thing here. Whiteboard. Did you hear that RFK said that he used to sniff cocaine off of toilet seats? Right? And in the story there is that the left wants to say, how can we trust this guy with our safety and the safety of our children? And look what he did. And look, their selectiveness means nothing to me at all. I think the problem is he's got 40 years of sobriety, and yet he's still not a conservative. 10 years ago, he was saying if you didn't believe in climate change, you should be in jail, which is why I didn't want him anywhere near the cabinet position. Nowhere near it. We'll get to it in a second, but first, CNN. I wanted to bring you more of that press conference with President Trump, but I don't know how it is that we can still have press conferences near helicopters or airplanes, and we haven't figured out how to isolate the audio. It's just, it doesn't seem possible that we haven't been able to figure this one out. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. I was on Newsmax yesterday. It was a busy week. Did Newsmax quite a few times. Was on with Sean Spicer yesterday. You can find that over at YouTube. Just look for Sean Spicer. And it was a question about CNN and their ratings. And I know CNN's ratings are down, but what was determined was that CNN has lost 2/3 of its primetime viewers over the past decade. Well, what does that mean in numbers? It means in 2016, their primetime viewership was 1.3 million people. In 2026, it's 553,000 people. That's significant. That is a significant drop in viewership. 10 years, what happened 10 years ago? Oh, that's right, Trump took office. Well, you see, it's because they're full of Trump hate. And when you're full of Trump hate, no one wants to listen to you. I don't believe that's the case. I think that's what people say without actually taking a second to think about what it is they're saying. Because there are plenty of people out there who hate Trump. Why wouldn't they be interested in a network that also hates Trump? What I said to Ed Henry, who right now is doing double duty, he's got a show at 5 o'clock on Newsmax and a show at 6 o'clock on Newsmax too. Impressive. I mean, he should be able to give up one of those shows for me, right? 2 radio shows and a TV show? Yeah, I got time. No, seriously, Newsmax. I have time. Wink, wink. They offer. I'm taking the gig. The story is not about that they hate Trump too much. The story is that they don't trust their audience at all. That's what I explained to Ed Henry. You cannot build an audience if you hate the audience, if you don't trust the audience. And CNN, over the past decade, just like MS Now with the same issues, they refused to address things honestly with their audience. Russia, and impeachment, there was no honesty. Hunter Biden laptop, absolutely no honesty. COVID, no honesty. You couldn't even allow a second conversation or a contrary conversation to vaccines. Like, wait a second, but what about some efficacy? And what about, do we really test these? I have nothing against the vaccine. Take it if you want it. But you can't have a conversation about it? That's madness. And CNN never offered those other points of view and went about attacking anybody who thought that they should have the ability to engage that point of view. They hated their audience. They didn't trust their audience, so they never shared ideas with their audience and never let that build. I know there are people who listen to this very show who, when I say something about tariffs or MAGA, they scream at me. But I do back it up. I do have a reason for what I say. And they trust me enough that they know, all right, I disagree with them on this, but I agree with them on these 9 other things, so therefore here I am. And I know that I'm going to get from Tony an actual story, an actual theory. I'm going to hear every side of the issue, and then I'm going to hear his take. I get to make up my own mind. Right. CNN doesn't do that. And that's why they don't have an audience. Now, the question is, does this set CNN up to sell? Would you buy it? CNN doesn't need a fresh coat of paint and some new electrical sockets. It needs all new talent, except for Scott Jennings. This is Tony Katz today. Now, I have never said that line, Kenneth. I have said that about in everyone's life, there are two perfect people, right? For Christians, there are two perfect people in your life, you and Jesus. And you don't think yourself as perfect, right? That's about like when, you don't agree with a candidate or a person 100% of the time. There are only two people you agree with 100% of the time, yourself and Jesus. Like that is the line that I've used before. I think it does explain the situation pretty well. But I never said I was a perfect candidate. I did say if I run for certain offices in Indiana, I'm going to win, and I'm going to win by a freaking landslide. At this point, I am not running. At this point. I think I said at this point. So here's where we are. We are in the radio break, so we're going to take the commercial break right now. Smoke them if you got them. The president is supposed to speak in the 1 o'clock hour. But again, I don't think that's going to go on time. But if he does, I'll bring it to you. Guys, relax. Take it easy. We'll be back in just a little bit. Keep it right here, and thank you so much for being a part of it. I appreciate it. So I tried to have a little bit of lunch in between, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to regret that. Tony Katz, that's me, by the way. Tony Katz Today, that's the name of the show. You can see in the banner behind me. That's my name. TonyKatz.com. That's where you find everything. Good to see it. Good to be with you. Don't forget, we are going to talk about how we win the midterms over a whole bunch of bourbon. February 28th, downtown Indianapolis, the Hyatt Regency. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Get your tickets right now. An incredible night out with friends, with the ones you love. Just come and meet some very, very cool people. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Look good, right? You can red tie it. You can cocktail attire it. You can just be wearing pants. The bourbon, the food, the live music, the red carpet, the whole thing. It's going to be a great night. Fantastic night. Want you to be there for it. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Do me a favor. Get your tickets right now and join me for that. So President Trump is supposed to speak to military families of Fort Bragg. So I have got that story to get to. But I do think I want to get to this RFK thing. There's a real story here. And everybody's missing it because that's what they do. I don't plan on being very nice right now. Sorry. Just thought you should know. Locally, I saw a story posted by a news outlet local to where I live, and it was a picture of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it stated RFK Jr. promised to restore trust in U.S. health agencies. 1 year later, it's eroding. I don't believe that to be the case. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Good to be here. I responded by saying, moms say his changes are helping them keep their kids healthy. The response has been quite unbelievable. No moms are saying that. That was one of the responses. And I said, well, that's not true. Moms are absolutely saying this. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is connecting all around the country. But you and I have become used to the people who don't engage factually or honestly, but only engage to the concept of destruction. And then some people have said, oh, wow, take a look at how much measles are up in the United States. I've already said, I can go to the CDC right now, and there is a whole conversation about measles and how the recommendation for measles vaccines, MMR, mumps, measles, rubella, is the first dose at 12 to 15 months and the second dose at 4 to 6 years old. I'm staring at it. It's right here. There you go. I'll show you. If you're watching the live stream, there it is. MMR recommendations. It's right there under cdc.gov/measles/vaccines/index.html. It's right there. Simple to understand. Measles in the United States, one could argue, is because of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, or it could be that for 4 years, we let in millions of people into the country as a part of an invading force that Democrats turned a blind eye to and actually supported its incursion and happenings. I hope you don't mind the honesty right there. And you have more people in the country that come from countries where they don't have the level of standards in healthcare that we do. They don't have vaccines. They have diseases. And you might see more of this in the United States. Now, if we were really honest people and wanted to say, hey, what if the issue is a society that is so anti-vaccine that they're not giving their kids MMR vaccines? Well, wouldn't that be us talking like people, like normal human beings? Well, that's not what happens on social media. That's not what happens with leftists. Immediately, it's Trump's fault. Immediately, it's because it's RFK. And then some people said, why would I listen to a guy who sniffed cocaine off of toilet seats? Now, normally, I would say, well, you got a point there. If somehow you were talking to a guy who was doing a line off of a toilet seat and then looked up and you said, you know what you should invest in? Plastics. That guy, I don't think I'm going to trust. If a guy was doing a line of blow off of a toilet seat, then looked you in the eye and said, you know, I don't think those trans fats are good for you. That's not a guy I would necessarily trust. The guy does himself like a John Belushi kind of dive into a pile of pure on somebody's toilet seat, looks up at you and says, you know, I think kids eat too much sugar. You're right. You're right. I don't think I take health advice from that guy. Right? I couldn't think of different types of cocaine, not being a drug guy myself, but I could have mentioned a Peruvian something and I would have been on track. But I guess was he on Producer Landon, the Theo Vaughn podcast? And he confessed. RFK Jr. confesses he snorted cocaine off toilet seats. Washington Times has the story. Did anybody read a little bit of the story? Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., reflecting on maintaining his sobriety for more than 4 decades, said his cocaine habit knew no bounds. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats, he confessed in a video that quickly went viral. And during a conversation with Theo Vaughn on the podcast called This Past Weekend, Mr. Kennedy talked openly about his recovery from addiction. He described the daily commitments that kept him sober, including early morning recovery meetings in the Los Angeles area, where he met Theo Vaughn. Quote, we've been in recovery together for years. I've been through depression. I've been suicidal in my life. Not fun, by the way. It does get better. 988, is that the suicide hotline now? 988? I never had to make that call. If you need to, make the call. Do it. You're worth it. You are worth it for you. Absolutely. But I never had any levels of addiction. Now, maybe some psychologist somewhere would say, well, actually, Tony, but I'm saying no drugs, no drinking. I'm a sipper. I was never a drinker. Never. Even everything I do with bourbon and all the other stuff, I have like 2 sips. I'm like, I'm good. I want to try it for the art of it. I want to understand what the distiller was going for. I want to try and unravel the mysteries of the flavors. After that, I'm set. You ask anybody who has hung out with me. I don't finish a drink. Outside of marijuana in my college days, that was it. That was it. But addiction is a real thing, and people go through it. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a guy I said I didn't want as Secretary of Health and Human Services. It wasn't because he was an addict. It wasn't because he's in recovery. It's because he has bad politics. And I concerned myself with those politics being too close to the President of the United States and too close to power. But I have watched him as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and I have seen solid movement, smart movement. And yes, mothers and parents around the country saying, what? We're getting rid of red dye this. We're getting rid of artificial that. We're going to have better labeling here. We're going to have better information here. We're not going to scare parents regarding 900 different courses of this, that, and the other. Good stuff. And it is. Maha is a winner across the country. It never dawned on me to discuss his past like that. And it did not surprise me to see the left attack him for it. By the way, it's 988, not 998. 988 is the number for the suicide hotline. Make sure I get that right. Gosh, I should have that on the quick. The left was quick to mock him and attack him for what is a very embarrassing thing to say. Here is a guy who is an addict, who has spent decades making himself healthy. And I can guarantee you that 99.9% of the progressives mocking him do not have the physique he has and couldn't do as many push-ups as he can do. How quick they were to attack, how quick they were to insult, how quick they were to denigrate. What an embarrassing thing to say. I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats. Is that a guy we're supposed to say, well, that's when your life ended? And you're not allowed to have any life since. You cannot have any growth since. You cannot do better from that moment. And if that's the case, I want to remind the political left, Mike Tyson does movies. Mike Tyson had his own Broadway show. Mike Tyson had his own cartoon. Mike Tyson goes places and everyone cheers for him and they call him a champ. The champ, you're the champ, Mike's the champ. Mike Tyson raped a woman. He raped a woman and he went to jail for it. He violated a woman. He abused a woman. And he got a Broadway show. He got movies. Mike Tyson gets a comeback. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his life has to stop at the lowest moment that he literally was resharing for the world. Aren't we supposed to say, here is a guy who went through hell, who was at the lowest of the low, and then look where he has come. Look what he has done. I may disagree with him politically on a great number of things. I may still say I don't like the fact that he's in the cabinet, but my gosh, it's over at that moment because, well, hey, we're the political left and we can get in a good dig. I think it's acceptable to note what people said in the past. I think it's acceptable to note where people have shown themselves politically in the past, and then to ask, how can I be sure that you are in a different place now? And I would ask that of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. politically. A man who said, and I'm paraphrasing here, people who don't believe in climate change, they should be in jail. Someone in the chat room brought up something outrageously good. Hunter Biden is doing crack. Okay, I don't know if he's doing crack right now. All I know is they found cocaine in the White House, and if you ask me, I think it was Hunter Biden's. And Hunter Biden was doing crack or cocaine when he left the laptop over at the repair shop, and he was certainly doing it when he bought the gun and he lied about it on a federal form. Now here's the question. Why is it that anybody on the left still does an interview with him, still talks to him? It's supposed to all be over. Done, finished, complete. Life doesn't work like that. If Hunter Biden can clean up his act, clean up his life, and go about doing things, creating things, well, then good on him. Good on him. I'm not going to be told that I can't notice that there was cocaine in the White House and everyone said, we don't know whose it is. It was Hunter's. You didn't want to say it was Hunter's. It was Hunter's. The man has a drug problem. And I'm told you're not allowed to laugh about it. You're not allowed to mock it. You're not allowed to shame it. You're not allowed to attack it. All we can do is feel for him. But the left on this lowest of low moments, an embarrassing moment, potentially, depending on how you see it, humiliating moment. And he's sharing it openly. When you decide that you're going to mock him for this, I do have a question for anybody who is in recovery, is an addict, working on this. What's that like? Does it make it harder to discuss recovery? Does it make it somehow easier? Does it have no effect? I would hope it has no effect, because I wouldn't want other people to have an effect on you and how you deal with this and find your way through it. And there are easy days and not easy days, I have to assume. But that was him 40 years ago, and that's not him today. And absolutely, there have been moves made by HHS that are fantastic, whether it's on protecting children, whether it's on drug prices. How about not even the dyes? How about the recognition that boys aren't girls and girls aren't boys? For that alone, I would give Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a medal. It's an incredible thing to admit there. Really something else. That is an ability to discuss human failings and your own failings and then say, yep, that happened. Here I am today. People are desperate to have you live by your mistakes. I've had mistakes. Some of them were televised. They are not the totality of the person. They're utilized by cheap people to try and tear you down. And your choice is to let them or not let them. That's it. The worst thing about public mistakes is that they are indeed public. The worst thing about anything in the public eye is that anything you thought was private will not be. It's a really some level of story. Also, I can't imagine eating something so bad I would do it off a toilet seat. That said, I think he's done an admirable job as HHS secretary. And I think that the left that's angry with him, they're just angry at anything that is connected to Trump and success. And it's why you shouldn't be listening to them. You don't have to pay attention to them. And I certainly hope that the secretary isn't paying attention to them at all. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Okay, you got to go. Sorry, just removing some people. See, that's just a stupid comment. That's a stupid comment. Shit. No. Promised I would. Thus, I am. All right. Hold on a second. Hold on. All right. Can I? I'm going to try and share this, producer Landon, but you're going to have a finger on the dump button. I think we're clean. No, you didn't. I see. So there. That's at the end. I don't know if I'm going to be able to share. You know what? I'm going to send this to you and see if you can edit it through. Okay. I don't think I'll be able to do that during the. That's the worst part. There we go. There we go. I spelled encounter wrong. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Well, I do like a good mom joke there, chat room. I do. Admittedly, I really do. What'd you say? I at least till like a minute 34 it is, where the guy's like, you clearly don't care how you look. Yeah, I know. For the next segment. Is there anybody not talking right now? Everybody's everywhere. Now I got Christy Nome doing stuff. Dear Lord. By the way, there are some things that are disqualifying, like shooting your puppy. All right. I swear to you, everybody's talking today. Christy Nome is now talking about voting. They changed the SAVE Act to the Save America Act. Did they really do this? Is this what Nicki Minaj wanted? Nicki Minaj in the Oval, working on getting people to pass the act to have voter ID. Well, it's restrictive, and women and black people won't be able to vote. No one's buying your story. Progressive left, no one. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. But Christy Nome, let's see if I can hear this.
Some of those that are involved in election security here and local leaders to discuss what we can do to make sure that we have integrity in our election systems going forward. I want to thank some of them that came today. Justin Heap is here. He's the recorder of Maricopa County. I want to thank him for sharing.
I'll let her thank these people. I am wondering if I'm finally seeing a bit of fight, because there is a purpose for this. The Homeland Security Secretary talking about how you need photo ID and why it keeps us safe and why it helps keep America safe. I mean, for a party that isn't sure how it's going to get this passed because we're not invoking the removal of the filibuster, this is a pretty hardcore press.
Benjamin Franklin was asked out on the street by a woman what kind of a government that we would have. And he replied to her, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." And that's what our job is. For 250 years, it's been our American duty to maintain our republic and to make sure that our elections are secure. Republics depend on the confidence of their citizens, that when they vote, that their vote matters, that it counts. And our elections are essential to make sure that that confidence stays there, that they know and trust that the system is fair. Since returning to office, President Trump has made election integrity a priority. He's made it a cornerstone of his Make America Great Again agenda. And the truth is that our election system needs a lot of work. From state to state throughout the country, we see challenges and things that can be improved on. And although the Constitution gives states the primary responsibility for running their elections, Congress also gives authorities and duties to the federal government.
Now, make sure you understand what she said here, because it is very important. It's a federalism conversation. I agree with this. States have the right to determine where the election is, hours of the election, all sorts of things. That is up to legislatures. Agreed. The confirming of who is voting, well, that's a whole different conversation now, isn't it? States should allow children to vote. We have rules. And those rules can be set by Congress, and then applied to the states via the supremacy clause. That is not prescribing the manner of which the election takes place. That's up to the state legislatures. It's a full court press. So how are they going to get it through the Senate? What is it that they know that we don't? This is Tony Katz today. Let me share a little bit more of this. I don't know what else she said. I'm hearing it for the first time, just like you.
Now, as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, those authorities lie within my department, and the responsibility lies with me. I have the responsibility of not just pointing out different vulnerabilities that we may see in our election systems, but also with making sure that we're putting forward mitigation measures that can be enacted at the state and local level to make sure that our elections are run correctly, that the votes are counted and tabulated, and that the people that were elected are put into those positions. As President Trump said, we will either fix our nation's election issues or we will no longer have a nation to save. Right now, America has a golden opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to show that we are serious about securing our elections and that we care about making sure that we preserve our sacred republic. Earlier this week, the House of Representatives passed the SAVE Act. This is federal legislation that does some common sense, straightforward things. First of all, it requires a photo ID in order to vote in federal elections. It also requires proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. And it requires states to remove non-citizens from their voter rolls. These measures are extremely popular with American citizens.
Does anybody have any problem with that, by the way? Just those things? Because I'm fine with those things.
American people have common sense, and they want to see reforms like this put into their elections. In fact, a Gallup poll was recently released that shows 84% of Americans support a photo ID when they go to vote, that 83% support proving your citizenship when you go to register to vote. A Pew Research poll showed that 95% of Republicans and 71% of Democrats agree with voter ID. There's a reason why more than 80% of Americans support these measures, and that's because they work and they're common sense and they build trust into the system. It's common sense that our elections should belong to the American people, that they should be the ones who get to vote, whose votes are counted, that they get one vote, not more, not less. It's common sense to make sure that foreign nationals don't vote in our elections, don't elect our leaders, and have a say in how our country runs. They don't and should not be allowed to be trampling on the voice of the American people, and will no longer allow American citizens to be disenfranchised, to have their voices suppressed by criminals, by hostile foreign actors, and by illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in this country. It's a fact that non-citizens have been voting in our elections. They've been registered and they have voted from state to state. For example, one of the most recent individuals that we've talked about is Ian Andre Roberts. He was an illegal alien from Guyana that was arrested by ICE while serving in Des Moines, Iowa as the school district superintendent.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps you remember hearing about that arrest. Despite him being here illegally in this country, he was registered to vote in Maryland. He had a long rap sheet also of criminal charges, including narcotics possession, second and third degree possession of a weapon, and criminal possession of a forgery instrument.
Forgot about that guy. I mean, I forgot his name. I remember the guy. Absolutely do. I am only hopeful that we will see more. That we'll see more push towards this, towards the SAVE Act, towards getting things done, because you have got a tremendous amount of examples of why we need to protect ourselves. So the answer to the question of how is that a policy that's approved of so highly across the U.S. becomes so difficult to pass? So follow this math. Yeah, Americans think there should be voter ID laws, but see that? It hasn't moved them to the polls yet. It's only just something they agree with. And that's why it's so hard. The pressure is not there on Democrats to get this done. Oh, also, they want illegal immigrants to vote. Let's go back to the show. This is Fort Bragg. And Melania Trump, First Lady of the United States, just introduced President Donald John Trump. There are photos, and he's smiling, and would you believe it? He's wearing a blue suit with a white shirt and a red tie. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. It's the scoot, one on each side for Melania. He went full European. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. And anytime Lee Greenwood is playing, Trump's gonna sit there and take it in. I'm curious what he's gonna say. Let's bring it to the president.
The song, they turned it off. That's terrible, but that's all right. Honey, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Please. So we have an amazing group of people before me. Amazing. And very proud of you. Somebody said, I was just watching a little news coming down. They said, oh, it's amazing he can find the time in his busy schedule. Believe me, you're the time. My schedule's not the time. Although we do have a couple of interesting things happen. We just had fantastic reports on inflation, way down. Costs of products, way down. We inherited a mess, total mess, and now it's really coming along. We have the greatest numbers that we've ever had. We're hitting all-time high stock numbers. We're hitting all-time high S&P and Dow numbers. You saw that a few days ago, at the end of the first year. They said that it was going to take maybe 4 years, the end of the term, to hit 50,000 on the Dow. We did it in 1 year.
He's been saying that. Talking about that.
And likewise, to hit 7,000 on the S&P was going to take at least 4 years. Could be 5 or 6. We did it in 1 year. So, and all I know is forget about the stock market, forget about Wall Street. Your 401ks are doing very well. I don't have to ask you. Is anybody doing poorly with their 401k? If they were, you're a pretty bad investor, I'll tell you. But I want to thank Melania. Our country is truly blessed to have such a phenomenal First Lady. And now she's a movie star on top. Can you believe? She did a movie. It's the hottest thing you've ever. It's crazy. Congratulations, by the way. Very good. You know who loves that movie? The ladies. They go see it 3-4 times. That's what I heard. They go see it with the husband. Husband really likes it a lot, but the women go back and see it. But she's a great First Lady. And I'm thrilled to be back on one of the greatest and most celebrated military bases in the history of the world, Fort Bragg. We have your name back. We got your name back from the radical left. The radical left is not happy about it. It's another reason you have to vote for us, because they'll change it back to whatever it might be. This is the home of the legendary Green Berets, the home of the Sky Dragons, and the All-American 82nd Airborne. And in particular, I hear that we are joined by many exceptional soldiers from the 1st Brigade Combat Team, also known as the Devils in Baggy Pants. What's that all about? The Devils, they are devils. And you are devils. And I have no higher honor in life than to be your commander-in-chief. I'm so proud of you all.
Democrats don't have anybody who can do this. Absolutely no one who can do this, who can engage, who can smile while they don't. One of the things that I think needs to be a part of 2026, and I think, however, it has to be there as part of the conversations. Not that's going to be the driving force in a midterm. How about the fact that military recruitment is not only up, but the military's belief in their own abilities, capabilities, skill sets, and mission is there. Morale has returned. Those things matter. Those things matter. Those things help. Now, is it going to be the key driver? No. This was an all economy election, and that has changed because of everything that happened in Minneapolis. It has changed. And certainly the shootings changed things a little bit, but not to the level that I think people say. But you want to be hitting on all cylinders and hitting all things well. And for some people, military matters are going to be things that matters most. And you want to remind them that President Trump is a guy who keeps supporting these people. The people really seem to like him. They respond to him. And it's Democrats that want to keep making sure that these guys and these ladies don't get paid. See, they would be upset with me because I said these ladies, and they'd be like, these guys is fine. Don't be ridiculous. See what I did there? See, that's why. Back to the president.
And so let me begin by saying a very, very big thank you to our great warriors and the men and women of the United States Army. Unbelievable. Very special thanks also to all of the incredible military families who are here today. You know, without that family, our soldiers would not be the same. It's a whole big deal. I don't think they get enough credit, but they do get credit with me. That's why I sent you 1776 a couple of weeks ago, a little while ago. We had a lot of money coming into our country from tariffs. And I said, let's send a little to our, so, you know, they came in, they said, sir, we can do 1,775. I said, oh, that's good. They put the number. I said, you know, if we add one more dollar, it's 1776. I said, add a dollar. Add a dollar. Did everybody get 1776? I think so, right?
Meaning all everyone.
You think the Democrats would have done that? Forget it. But it's really because of your incredible sacrifices to keep America safe and free. There's nobody more respected than the people in this room. We're also joined by General Gregory Anderson, General Brandon Tagmeyer, Secretary Howard Lutnick, Senator Ted Budd. He's doing a fantastic job.
You're introducing Lutnick? I'm telling you, Lutnick being on the island with Jeffrey Epstein having lunch, it doesn't make it better because he was with his wife and kids. Nope. It's a problem. And why you're there with him, I don't. You want to act like it's not a problem, Mr. President? Don't do this to yourself. I don't think Lutnick did anything wrong. I'm not saying Lutnick did anything wrong. I don't think he would ever do. I just don't see that. But if you say you cut off connections with a guy, and then while you were on your yacht, you decided to dock at his island for lunch, maybe you had more of a connection to the guy than we know. And if you're trying to cover that up, I'm sorry, you got to go.
Who is running for the Senate, who is phenomenal. The only thing is he's not as well known. He was behind the scenes. He was the head of my 3 campaigns. I won all 3 times here by a lot. It wasn't even close. And he was responsible, along with Laura Trump. Laura is fantastic, born here and loves the area, but they work together. But Michael Watley, if he's here, I don't know. Michael, will you come here for a second, please? He's running for the Senate. And if he gets in, you're going to be taken care of. If he doesn't get in, we're going to be stripping the military like they always do, the Democrats. This is a man who was the head of North Carolina. So he did so well that I said, who is that guy that did so well? Because when it came time to picking the head of the Republican Party, I picked him. And you saw what happened in the last election. We won in a landslide. We won every swing state, all 7 swing states. We won by millions of votes, the popular vote. You know, the first time I won, but they say I didn't win the popular vote. You know I did. I won it by a lot, but they say I didn't. So every time they'd introduce Donald Trump, who didn't win the popular vote, but he, you know, whatever. I said, I don't ever want that to happen again. But we did. We won everything. And this is a man that was in charge of this state. He did so well here. There was nobody else that I even considered to run the RNC. That's the whole country. And we had a big victory just recently that you know very well, a victory like they've never seen. So I'd just like you to say a couple of words, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you. In 2015,
It's always coming.
Donald Trump came down an escalator and said that he was going to make America great, that he was going to protect our country, that he was going to make sure that our men and women in uniform had what they needed to protect our interests and our allies around the world. And North Carolina stood up and said, that's our guy. And in his term in office and in this term in office, there has never been a president who has fought for Fort Bragg, who has fought for the men and women in uniform in North Carolina, as well as our veterans, more and harder and better than Donald J. Trump, our 45th and 47th president of the United States of America. I am thrilled that he has asked me to run for Senate in North Carolina and is giving me an opportunity to represent you and to fight for you and every other base that we have in this
Well, I'll tell you
great
this
state
much about him.
to protect our interests.
He can't,
to
he
make
can't
sure
rally
that
an audience
America
like Trump
and our
can.
allies are
I'll let him
going
keep
to
talking. I want to hear more what the president has to say. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.
is to keep its communities and its citizens
Man,
safe.
you want to talk about bring a buzzkill. This is like getting to a house party and then everyone's got a drink and everyone's starting to hang out and start loosening up. And then mom comes down and just lays down the rules. You're like, what are you doing? You're harshing the buzz. What are you doing? Oh, Watley's got a lot of work to do when it comes to personality.
And if we don't win the midterms, they'll take it off again. They'll take it off again. You can't let that happen. And this man is exceptional, I'll tell you right now. So with the help of everyone in this room, America is the strongest military on the face of the earth. We rebuilt it. We really did. We rebuilt it in my first term. We had a great first term. We had the best economy in history, but this is blowing it away. But we had a great economy in the first term. We did everything, but we really created a tremendous military. Now, some of it was given away, actually a lot, but small compared to what we did to Afghanistan. You remember that, where they left all the military equipment behind? We wouldn't have left anything. We would get out with dignity and strength, respect. We looked like we were running. We don't run from anybody. That was a Biden embarrassment. What a terrible president. But we came back and we already have rebuilt our military to stronger than it was even then. And we don't leave equipment behind. We don't leave jets behind. I said, why do you leave those jets behind? Sir, I thought it was cheaper to leave it behind. You know, $150 million plane. All they had to do is put a little jet fuel in there and fly it to wherever they want to fly it. These people were the worst. We can't let it happen again. Our military, if the Democrats get in, will be severely misserved. But we rebuilt it in my first term, and now we're making it stronger and bigger and better than ever before. The recruiting is through the roof. You know that after years of recruiting shortfalls, as an example, new enlistments have soared to record highs. We had a year and a half ago, nobody wanted to join the military. They didn't want to join the Army. You know that. It was like terrible. They didn't want to join the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Coast Guard, or my beloved, how about that? Space Force. Do we like Space Force? It's turning out to be very important. But they tried to end that, and actually the military refused to allow that to happen. But you couldn't get people to join. And as soon as we won the election, that election took place on November 5th. From November 5th on, it was like a miracle. Now we have waiting lists for every branch of the military, waiting lists of people to get in. In other words, your jobs are wanted by everybody. And isn't that a better feeling? I'm looking at the smiling faces. We've got a lot of smiling faces. You should be smiling. Last year, the Navy and Air Force and Space Force all surpassed their recruiting goals by 5 months early, and the numbers are through the roof. In fact, it'd be a very good time to expand. You know, it's a good time to expand. But the Army did even better than the others, and you shattered your annual recruitment by almost 5 months and lots of days. But more importantly, the number and the quality of recruit has never been higher. This year, the Army is beating its recruitment goal by 116%. And I'm very proud of that. I was very embarrassed for a period of years as I watched how badly this country was run, standing outside and hearing constantly that we couldn't get people to join our great forces. We ended the scourge of political correctness in our military. We renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Think of it. We won World War I. We won everything. World War II and everything before, during, and a little bit after, except we fought a little bit differently. We fought to be politically correct. We were a politically correct force with the presidents. But now we have a real force, and you see that with what we did in Iran with the B-2 bombers. A lot of you were involved in that. And what we did recently in Venezuela, nobody ever saw anything like that happen. A Venezuelan general who was on the site, but he moved out fast enough that he lived. because most of them didn't. But he was on the site. He said, we were totally prepared. We saw the planes coming. We saw everything coming. You know, they're a good, strong force. And he said, we got hit like nobody's. They were hit from 17 different directions. They said, there's never been anything like that. It was over in like literally a minute. Everybody was running for the hills. And that's what we have. We have the strongest military in the world by far. We have the best equipment. We have the greatest people, soldiers. We brought back merit as the sole consideration for advancement and promotion in our military. We won the Supreme Court case, shockingly in that case. It took courage to come up with that decision. It's based on merit. Now you want to get into a college, it's based on merit. It's not based on anything else. You want to get into the military, you got to have a little muscle. You got to be strong like these people. It's like you're like central casting. I'm looking at all these beautiful looking people, but you have to be a certain type to do well. And we were taking anybody that wanted to get in because we wanted to be politically correct. No.
President Trump speaking at Fort Bragg, speaking to members of the military assembled, and he brought up Michael Whatley, who's running for Senate. And I think Whatley sucked the air out of the room. They were cheering and laughing, and now it's a little more subdued. That is not so good. But we'll let the president keep speaking there. I want to share this. You may have seen this video on your social media feeds. I couldn't edit the video, but we could edit the audio. This is one of those legal observers, feel the air quotes, who's tracking ICE. This is what this Karen is doing. This awful, affluent, white, liberal, urban woman. No, affluent, white, affluent, white, female, urban liberal. There it is. Sorry. Affluent, white, female, urban liberal. All of a sudden, I couldn't spell awful. I went full Joe Biden. And she's tracking these people. She wants a problem. Listen to this encounter. This is a knockout.
This isn't where I live. That's fine. But this isn't where I live.
Your parents still pay all your bills?
No.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
If my parents paid all my bills,
We just want to make sure you got home.
this isn't where I live.
It's okay, Olivia.
So first, it's ICE saying that you probably don't pay your own bills because you probably don't have a job. Where it starts getting nutty is when this woman in the car starts talking about a ICE agent who is black.
Okay, Olivia, we appreciate it.
You can go talk to them.
Well,
this isn't where I live.
So if this is not where your vehicle's registered, you might want to look that up with their state.
It is, buddy. My address is correct on my ID and where my car is registered.
Okay.
Good try, though.
All right. Thanks, Olivia.
Do you feel strong or what?
We're good. Have a great day, okay?
I'll keep following you, okay?
Oh, no, she doesn't care. It's all right. No, come on. She doesn't care? She doesn't care. They never do.
Sorry.
How does it feel to be a race traitor?
At that moment, you're supposed to scream out loud, and you understand all of these leftists are unbelievably bigoted. A white woman to a black man, what's it like to be a race traitor? Because he's a member of ICE? Bigot, racist, lowlife. And this guy, he's trying to engage her. Man, is he tough.
You know, we were trying to get a child molester, right?
No, you weren't.
Yes, we were.
How would you know?
Because it was a woman you talked to.
His wife.
And then his plate came back as murder.
Also, I just want to say, calling someone a race traitor,
But you guys don't care.
I hope you realize that is the most racist thing you can say as a white
incredible.
woman.
Of course,
And
it
this-
is.
So you know, this isn't a good look for you.
You think I care about my look.
No, trust me.
When you guys
It
are-
is evident by how you look, you don't care. We get that, trust me. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying this, trying to be a social warrior. If you actually cared, you probably would care about the child who got raped and also the person who got murdered by the person that we were looking for. But see, you don't.
But you don't care. I mean, he's right.
No, I don't care because you guys try.
Thank you.
Just try to detain legal.
These lefties don't care. They only want to destroy. They'll go after your race. They don't care that kids are harmed. They don't care. They want power and they want to destroy. What's it like to be a traitor to your race is a disgusting thing to say. But you gotta love that this ICE agent was like, when she's like, do you think I care how I look? And he's like, oh, no, it's evident. You don't care how you look. Ah, these guys have a sense of humor. And that kind of stuff, this is why I say the idea that somehow America is not interested in what ICE is doing or doesn't like what ICE is doing, that's not true. They may want some things to change, but they want people in the country illegally removed. That's what they want. I've got that story coming up. I've got much more to get to. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. This right here is Tony Katz Today. All right. Can I, by the way, I'm excellent at Fortnite. Just for the record, I'm very good. Somebody asked, how do you play Fortnite? And I happen to be pretty good at Fortnite. My kids used to play, and so I wanted to do that with them. So I would play. And then they moved on to other games, and they play some stuff. My oldest does Super Mario Brothers. Do you ever play this, Producer Landon? Okay. I don't think of myself as older by any stretch of the imagination. Super Mario Brothers is going. What's the one? Is that the one where they fight each other? But no, not Bowser. They fight each other. It's like a Street Fighter kind of thing. Right, because that's the game he plays. It is moving so fast, I can't keep up. I get physically ill, like I can't even watch. Fortnite I can still keep up with. So I still play that. Super Smash Brothers, thank you. God, I couldn't remember Smash. Super Smash Brothers, yes. I said Super Mario Brothers. Super Smash Brothers. I can't watch. It's just too much. Way too much. But here, I want to where was this? Someone called me a chubby Matt Walsh. You're like a chubby Matt Walsh. Your mom is like a chubby Matt Walsh. There you go, Landon. There you go. Good mom joke for everybody. There. Someone asked me why I'm blatantly lying. About what? About what? We're never going to find out. We're never going to find out. We could just move on from this. The radio show continues at WIBC.com. So you're going to want to be a part of that. Go to WIBC.com and go check that out. It's good stuff. It is good stuff. I'm going to get into this Chuck Schumer stuff and Dr. Matt Will. We're going to go over some of the economics of the day. Really sorry that's not streaming to Twitter. I will try and fix that over the weekend, but I really appreciate you guys so very much. I'm liking the build. Good things happening. Thank you guys. Always, 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 always. Also, I play the Trump stuff whenever he comes on, and some people are like, should you? And I'm always like, yeah, I should. So I know it's different than other people, but anytime the president's talking, I think I should share it. By the way, he does look like he's in a good mood. Like, he looks happy. He is not dour by any stretch of the imagination.
I ordered devastating strikes on Iran's key nuclear facilities and
something
that was called Operation Midnight Hammer. That's exactly what it was. 1 o'clock in the morning at midnight with no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And I got the message, sir, they have entered Iranian airspace. And I got to see it all take place. It was amazing. The B-2s, the flying wing. And I didn't understand the B-2s until then, but now I understand them very well. So does he. We just ordered a lot more.
We'll get into that next week. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Have a good President's Day. Not President's Day. Lincoln and Washington birthday, because there's some presidents not worth celebrating. I'll catch you guys all on. Actually, I am back on Monday. I think I'm back on Monday. I don't think I have off. I'll be here. I'll catch you then, guys. Take care.